Hi friends, welcome back to the Scapegoat Club. My name's Jess, and in this video I'm going to address a question that I get very often, which is, what can you do when your adult child no longer wants to speak to you? I've got 2 simple steps for you. Stay tuned. Hi friends, welcome back. Hopefully we'll still be friends at the end of this video. I know it's going to be a tough one because this time I am talking to the parents out there, parents of estranged kids, and I know it's a very emotionally charged topic. It's really difficult, and if you've seen any of my videos before, then I do talk about estrangement, and you might think that I am pro-estrangement. I'm not pro, I'm also not against. I think that sometimes estrangement needs to happen for their health and the well-being of some individuals. I also know that cutting off, which is actually alienation rather than estrangement, that can be used as a weapon. It can really hurt people and it can destroy families. No matter what your situation is, where you are on that continuum, I know that estrangement hurts, it cuts and it wounds deeply. It's a very difficult subject. So if you are involved in this and you're watching this video because that's your current situation or you think you're going that way, then please know that it is a very difficult thing, that your emotions are likely to be quite high, and please take care of yourself. That will be covered in step 2 of what I'm just about to say. So, what can you do if your child has cut you off? If your adult child has said, I'm not going to speak to you, or they've just cut you out, what do you do? Step number 1 is you write them a letter. Step number 2 is you get therapy. Now, before we go even further, if your response to either of those 2 steps is, that is effing ridiculous, there's no bloody way I'm going to do that, kids are entitled, basically F you. Great, awesome, because that shows exactly where you need to start. Because if your response to either communicating openly with your child or seeking some ideas around how you might be able to do that better is very closed and really difficult for you, then it is likely that that is coming across in your relationship with your child, and that is why you're having problems. If you're being defensive, if you're being aggressive, if you're just being closed off to other ideas and to really listening and thinking about other ways of doing things, then this is a brilliant place to start. Or you might be like, yeah, Jess, but I've tried that. I know that maybe I wasn't the best parent, but I've told my child that. They've already explained that there were reasons why things went wrong when they were a kid, that I wasn't the best parent, but they're just not responding. And what can I do about that? Well, let's start off and acknowledge how hard it is to see that things could have been different, that it's really a brave step to get to the point where you say, actually, I tried my best as a parent, but it wasn't always great. And so that could have had, or it did have, big impacts on my child. But here's the thing. When people have difficult childhood, we can end up with different brain patterns, different emotional patterns, different regulation patterns, different physical patterns because of difficult childhood. So unfortunately, just because you can say, oh, I know that I made some mistakes and I've said that to my child and I've been to therapy, but I'm not getting what I want back from them, because that's not how it works. Your child is now dealing with those problems, not looking at blaming, not looking at pointing the finger, but those problems are now in your child's life and they need to deal with it, and that means they need to deal with it in their time with the coping skills that they have. And if that timeline isn't matching up with yours, then that is what it is. And pushing against that is just going to make it worse. I also hear parents saying that their children had great childhoods and then there wasn't a problem and that they're just being entitled, they're just being selfish, or maybe they are cutting you off to hurt you. Okay, that could well be the case. But here's the thing, your child likely does not see it that way. So even if this is true, if your priority is to get that relationship back with them, it's kind of like that analogy that the horse is already bolted. Your child has already figured out that they can leave this relationship. They are no longer a child, they are an adult, and they have resources around them that means that they are no longer reliant on you. So they've already made that decision, or they're making that decision that they don't need you anymore. It's kind of like the barn door is open. The horse is halfway out, or it's across the field, or it's down the road, or it's in the next state. I don't know where the horse is, but the horse is no longer in the barn. So you can come along and you can slam the barn door and you can run after it and you can yell and scream and you can do all the things, but the horse is gone. And if you do all those things, it's going to keep going. The way to get it back is not by doing those things. And just to know, if you think that your child is cutting you out, is alienating you to hurt you, maybe you think it's something vengeful, maybe there's a pattern that they will deliberately hurt you by withdrawing from you. If that's the case, then I'm going to double down and say actually those two steps, writing to them and getting therapy, are just as important. Writing to them will allow you to put in firm boundaries around what the relationship, a healthy relationship, will look like, and it won't involve potentially some kind of pattern of them going away and you chasing after them and then coming back and going around in those circles. And getting therapy, though, is super important. If you are in a relationship where someone is weaponizing their access to you in terms of trying to hurt you, then that could easily come under an abusive relationship. And so again, that's where therapy comes in. So I just want to take a minute to dive into the writing to your child part, because this is a reasonably simple, shouldn't be too time consuming, but I also do think there are some hurdles where we can get it wrong. And again, I've seen some of this in the comments. So if you're still watching and you are thinking of writing to your child, then I've got a few kind of ideas and suggestions on that. So point number one, if you're going to write to your child, is write within a pretty quick time period. Don't leave it too long, because the longer you leave it, then the more it kind of gives the impression that you don't care, that you're not interested in keeping up that relationship, which I assume is not true, because you're watching this video and this relationship is really, really important to you. So write to them within I'd say about a week. I would also say, though, don't write immediately. Don't go overboard straight away. There's going to be a lot of emotions involved. It's a really, really difficult time. There's going to be that knee-jerk reaction of like running after the horse, right? You want to take a minute, you want to think about it. I would write the letter, I would leave it overnight and come back to it. You want it to be truthful, you want it to be coming from the heart, you want it to be sincere, but you don't want it to be too overly emotional. You don't want to overload onto your child, because that is going to make it worse. Second thing, if you're going to write to your child, is write them a letter. Don't text them, don't email them. And if you're like, oh my God, that's so old school and completely out of character for me, then great. Because what writing does, there's a few things about writing a letter. It takes some time, it takes some thought. And it isn't something that you just throw out like off the cuff. And so it shows that you're being genuine and sincere. And that is what you want to convey to your child. If you've never done that before, then even better, because also it's going to show that you are open to trying out new ideas to get the relationship back on track. And one of the reasons that children, and again, I've heard so many times the same story, that they cut off parents because they don't think there's hope for change. So by writing a letter, if you've never done it before, you are actually enacting, you are showing the change right there and then that is happening. And so that may open the window to more conversation to be able to resolve things. The other thing with texts and emails is they can be easily misinterpreted, and you don't know where and when they're going to land, as in where or when your child is going to be when they read them. Are they going to be in a good place? Are they going to be swamped with work? Are they going to be being yelled at by their own kids? Are they going to be out with friends and having a few drinks and not thinking straight? You don't know where they're going to be. You don't know for sure where they're going to be when they read a letter, but it's more likely that reading a letter, a handwritten letter, they're going to be in a bit more of a kind of a mental space where they might be open to thinking about the contents rather than, oh, it's a text, it's annoying me, I've got other things to do, I can't get to that right now, I'm hassled, especially if your relationship is a stressful point for them. You want to remove any stress around the way that you're communicating with them. So please think about writing a letter. Third point on writing the letter, keep it brief, keep it loving, keep it supportive. Yes, you're hurting, yes, you're angry, yes, you're frustrated. There might be some really, really deep pain there. This is not the time for that. You don't want to put that on your child because, again, that could be a reason why they're leaving. Keep it short, keep it loving, keep it supportive. The other thing is leave the door open for future communication. Say that you love them, that you respect their decision, but you really hope that at some point you will be able to talk in future. That is the key thing, again, to leaving it to them to come back to you when they're ready. That communicates that you still love them, that you still want this relationship, that it's okay when they come back, and that when they do come back, they're not going to be faced with arguments, with aggression, with punishment, with rage, with any of those things. They need to know that when they're ready, the door is open and it will be safe for them. On my blog, I'll put a link below. I've actually put a kind of a small template of what you could write to your child. Feel free to kind of copy and paste it as it is. I would put names in though. And maybe add a couple of details that you think are maybe true and authentic to you and your relationship. Don't overload it. Don't go into pages and pages. Keep it short, keep it brief, keep it loving, keep it respectful. You need to support your child even though this is something that you don't want them to do. You have to respect their wishes, because if you don't respect them, if you don't listen to what they're saying, then you are not respecting them, and that is again going to push them further away. I know that this is an incredibly hard and very difficult situation, and I hope that this video helps a little bit. If you did like it, then please subscribe, leave me a comment below. Again, check out the blog on this. It's got everything written down, and then you can cut and paste things if you need and you want to write that letter. Please let me know how you get on. The best of luck and take care. I will talk to you very soon. Bye for now.